Hello, guys. I know it's been a while. I've been really busy building a volleyball team with my roommates, but today we are back. Today I'm going to be breaking down my February budget from all my income to all my expenses and everything in between. Let's get into it. So, getting right into it, here as you can see, we have the February 2026 monthly budget. We're kind of going to start from left to right to kind of break this down. First, I really want to talk about my income. You're probably seeing this and they're like, what is this guy doing? Right? My income for this month of February is the highest my income has ever been in a single month. This was absolutely mind blowing. That's just for now. Obviously, I plan on having way bigger months down the line. Hopefully, some 50K months, 100K months as I grow businesses and that type of thing. However, we can see what the breakdown came from this. Most of this came from my sales job, right? I do tech sales, so I had a really good accumulation of commission that got paid out to me in February, and this was post-tax, so this was absolutely phenomenal. Besides that, I also had my Amazon side hustle. Paid me 200 bucks, not the most in the world, but 200 bucks compounds over time, so I'll take it. And then finally, me and my mom opened a Valentine's Day stand where we sold gift baskets, flowers, chocolate covered strawberries, and everything in between that you kind of need to complete that gift for Valentine's Day. Here, about $2,960 of income came in on my end, right? Next up, with income comes a lot of expenses. So surely enough, our total expenses, right, this also includes my savings and investing, was about $15,000. This one we're gonna go through category. First one, we're gonna start with food and groceries. So we can see here that I actually budgeted 400 for this month of February. I spent $300 more than that. Um, the main thing that I really think of that shot this up was this Fogo de Chao dinner with my mom. It was $234 after tip, but I have absolutely no regrets about spending this money on my mom. She has been the main support in my life for years. She's done so much for me and continues to do so. She is truly my inspiration, and I have no guilt giving money back on experiences for her, right? She was telling me she hadn't been to a steakhouse in 5 years. I was like, let's change that tonight, right? So I think it's super worth it. Besides that, groceries. I think I just spent a good amount of food on eating out here and there, but also some of this food was, I paid for food for people who helped me with the Valentine's Day stand. So again, I think it's relatively reasonable, but definitely look to reduce this a little bit next month, or I guess this month in March. Gas, I spent $185 under my goal. Awesome. Business, my goal was 800. I knew I still had some materials to pay for stuff. Um, but over here I had $125, $832 of materials, and again, $87 on food for actual workers at the stands, not people who just help me here and there. Next up is activities. I played a sand tournament with some of my friends. I play volleyball. That was 30 bucks. AVT is the team that we are building. Essentially, it's a volleyball team, very much like a college club where you have dues. We play 4 tournaments and go to nationals, get jerseys and all that stuff. So I had to pay my dues, 390. That's for the season. Of course, I'm one of the founders, so I gotta pay my share. Can't avoid doing that. Spent 1165 on Amazon. So this is an activities because it's something activity related. I need to do a better job describing what it actually is. And then $85 is for a good field ticket, which is essentially another volleyball tournament that I am playing with my school, which I graduated from. I have an alumni year. That's why I get to play. Next up, we have savings and investing. This is honestly my favorite category every single month because I always like to surprise myself with how much I can save slash invest. In my Vanguard, Roth, and taxable accounts, I put a total combined of $3,345. Robinhood, I put in $800. Webull, which is just my $5 every single day, is $200. Coinbase, where I keep my crypto, $50 in Ethereum, $50 in Bitcoin, $100 this month. And finally, I put $7,000 in my savings account, specifically my high yield savings account. This is just because I want to have a little bit more savings, as I got a big check, so I want to put a little bit more of that extra money towards my savings. Is you can't tell what the next few months will be like. And also, this will give me opportunities as we have volatility in the markets with the Iran war and all that. If I see really big dips, I can take advantage of it and buy as needed. Next up on my expenses to kind of look at stuff, we have the one-off expenses, which again is way higher than expected. Um, I had a parking for practice, went a couple times, was $10. I did an oil change on my Audi, my second car, which I'm planning on reselling over the summer. It was 11 quarts. The engine's a V8, so quite the expensive oil change. And then again, I can't reset the codes myself because the German car is a little bit more complicated. Here again with my mom, I bought her a plane ticket to Bulgaria. After all, me and her ran the Valentine's Day stand together. So it only makes sense that I use some of the business profits to do something for her. She wants to go home, so I bought this plane ticket for her. Again, no guilt. I'm not fretting about this at all. I'd do it again. No complaints there. I had a parking ticket because one day I got greedy and I tried not to pay for parking, learned my lesson, pay the parking ticket, and just pay for parking if I need to going forward. My subscriptions, my gym membership is $55. Spotify is 14. Probably gonna cancel this gym membership soon, and Spotify I want to combine with my roommates so that I can turn that cost down. Here in this red column, you can kind of see all the expenses broken down. Uh, so looking at it, looking at the February 2026 overall chart, uh, I invested at least 50% of my income. Based on the chart, it's closer to 73.4%. And then my next highest category was actually one-off expenses. Again, rent's not that high. And here we can kind of see actual versus goal on all these numbers and how I did. Of course, my income was 315% over target, phenomenal. My expenses were also almost 300%. Food and gas, I overspent a good amount. Rent was on the dot, gas was under, business was a little bit over, and so on going forward. I also tripled my savings and investment goal. So that's phenomenal to think about. Overall, at the end of the month, usually I plan to have $500 that remains in my bank account. For this month, I had $3,360 that stayed remaining over, which is a 6x of what it's normally supposed to be. So that's absolutely fantastic. Again, here we can see on this bar chart that my income absolutely shot through the roof. Same thing with my savings, and it blew off its goal. That's making all these almost look negligible compared to it. Now, while this month was very strong and it was absolutely phenomenal month, I'm beyond blessed to be able to have this type of money come into my life, especially like moving to the States and all that. Next month, realistically, probably won't be like this. Next few months probably won't be like this, right? Which is why it's important to be smart with your money. Here I noticed that I had a blessed month. I made a lot of money. So I saved extra, right? That's how you should do it. You shouldn't go overspending on new and pointless stuff just because you made a little bit more money because there's no guarantee this isn't sustainable, right? The way commission works is you're not going to be making this type of money every single month, right? I might have 2 months in a row, that are closer to 7,000 or something like that, right? Actually, in fact, I think currently I'm projecting for March is going to be closer to about 6,000, right? So a lot more in line with my goal. So then, therefore, I got to be smart with what I already have, and then use that to move forward because you never know what the future holds, right? Um, that being said, this month was really solid. It made a lot of progress for me towards my income goal. Again, my income goal this year is to have 100K total income by the end of the year. And same thing with my investment goal. I want to invest 30K. You'll notice one thing in my savings and investment, I'm not including my 401k. I am trying to challenge myself to invest the full 30K without relying on that. But of course, with this fat paycheck, I had 6% get pulled away, and I get that matched on my employer's side as well. So it's definitely a good boost to the net worth and the overall 401 account. That being said, honestly, some reflections going forward into this month is to be more conscious of food and groceries, most definitely. Again, business expenses should drop off after this. And then I keep struggling to reduce this one-off categories because I keep allowing, well, I don't budget properly for these expenses that come up naturally. So I guess I just got to be more aware of timelines and stuff, whether it's automobiles or whatever it might be. Kind of be more aware of these upcoming expenses so I can include them properly in my goals, or I can budget for them ahead of time by putting that money in a savings account. One way people do this is taxes, right? Luckily for me, since I'm regular W-2 employee, I get that pulled automatically. But if I wasn't, if I was contract working, I would put that money aside, let's say 30% of whatever I get paid. That way, that can then be there ready for taxes. And if I get a little bit left over, I'll have that for me. With all that being said, again, I want to stress that this is not a normal month for me. Kind of like a unicorn month. Hopefully soon to be normal months for me. I'd love for this to be my income every single month. I feel like it relieve a lot of the financial burden in my life. This isn't meant to flex on anyone. I want to just share the importance of budgeting and being intentional with your money.